Today we're going to dive into a really personal story of transformation. And it's not one of those big, flashy, overnight success stories. Nope. This is about the quiet journey from total burnout to a life of purposeful calm, all built one small, intentional step at a time. So, it all started with this one question. Picture this: staring into an office bathroom mirror, feeling sick on the way to a job that was just crushing her soul. And that one thought hits: is this really it? I think that's a question a lot of us have probably asked ourselves at some point, right?
Wow, this slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? I mean, look at that contrast. On the left, you've got the then, exhausted, irritated, just fading. And on the right, the now, calm, breathing, even singing. So, how in the world did this happen? Let's get into it.
All right, so to really get this change, we've got to look at what that before picture actually felt like. This was a life lived completely on someone else's terms, a life that just didn't feel like her own. Back then, as a young secretary, she kind of bought into this idea that if she was just patient, if she just worked hard enough, happiness would, eventually show up. So she smiled for her bosses, she answered the phones, she took the notes, all while her own dreams were just sitting on a shelf marked maybe later. And her spirit, well, it didn't just vanish. No, it was more like this slow, quiet fade, day after day. So, what was the big turning point? The thing is, and what's so interesting about this, is that it wasn't some grand 5 year plan. It was something much simpler, an almost instinctive search for a little bit of peace. See, the thing that kicked it all off wasn't some big ambition, it was just pure exhaustion. She had this deep, fundamental need to just escape the constant chatter in her head and find one moment of stillness in a world that felt completely overwhelming. And how did she find that silence? Well, she picked up a needle and thread. Seriously, that simple, repetitive motion of knitting, it became her meditation. It was this real, tangible way to get back in touch with her body, with her thoughts, and to literally bring herself back, stitch by stitch. And this simple, quiet act, it actually led to this huge realization, something that's really at the heart of this whole transformation: understanding the true meaning of responsibility. Now, this is such a powerful way to look at it. See, for her, responsibility wasn't about trying to control every little thing. It was about taking ownership of her own inner world, of her own reactions. It meant she had to stop waiting around for someone else to come and rescue her from her own fatigue. Take her anxiety, for instance. She'd spent her whole life kind of ashamed of it, calling it a sensitivity. But then she realized, okay, maybe it's not my fault that I have it, but it is my responsibility to learn how to live with it, to actually listen to what my body is saying, to slow down, and to figure out how to soothe myself. And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, right? It drives home a really important point. Real responsibility is also about knowing when to let go. Because trying to control everything, that is a guaranteed recipe for burnout. The real power is in focusing only on what's truly yours to manage. Okay, so that leads to a pretty big question, doesn't it? If you're not supposed to control everything, what can you control? What are the actual building blocks you can use to create a life you love? And really, it all comes down to just these three things: your attitude, the effort you put in, and your ability to invest love in what you do. That's it. And the idea here is that these three things, they are more than enough. So let's break down attitude for a second. This isn't about some kind of toxic positivity where you just pretend to be happy all the time. No way. It's about acknowledging your feelings, sadness, fatigue, whatever they are, but making a choice not to let them call all the shots. It's simply about choosing where you're going to put your focus. All right, so let's put it all together. How does all this, the knitting, the responsibility, the focus, build into that after picture we saw? What does this new life actually look and feel like? The whole way she measures success has totally flipped. It's not about job titles or getting a promotion anymore. It's about the feeling of peace. It's about waking up in the morning without that awful, familiar knot of dread in your stomach. It's about being able to just breathe, and maybe even catching yourself humming a little tune for no reason at all. This quote just wraps up the whole journey so perfectly. The silence within is that peace she fought so hard to find. And the warmth in her hands, that's the knitting, the creative act that helped her get there. It's this beautiful connection between her inner world and her outer world. So, after walking through this whole journey from that quiet burnout to this new sense of purpose, we're left with this one very direct question. It's a challenge, really. A challenge to stop waiting for the perfect moment or for someone to give you permission. It basically turns this whole story into a call to action just for you. So, what will you start with today?